No, Mr. Writer, I expect you to listen closely. For today, we will discuss manipulation, characters who are manipulative, and the power they bring to your plot. Manipulative characters are some of the most iconic figures in literature and film. Whether they are the cunning villain or the sly hero, their schemes and machinations add a great deal of depth to any story. These characters are masters of deceit, puppeteers who pull the strings from the shadows, with or without magic. They bring suspense, intrigue, and complexity to the plot, making the story far more engaging as the reader tries to figure out what they're going to do next and how all of these disparate threads will come together or fall apart in a tangled mess. Today, I want to explore manipulative characters and two of the roles that they can play in your story, showing you how to craft these characters into unforgettable parts of your tale. Welcome to another episode of Just in Time Worlds with your host, Marie Mullaney. There are various kinds of manipulative characters, from the subtle Bene Gesserit to the brutal schemes of Iago from Shakespeare's Othello. They are makers of plot. They create the story around them. But to my mind, there are two broad camps to split manipulative characters into, and they play different roles in your plot depending on which camp they fall into. The first camp is the unsympathetic villain, the character we love to hate. Often, this is a more brutal manipulator, unsubtle in the manifestation of their schemes, and without redeeming qualities. This kind of character can really hold a story together with their fingers in many pies and holding the hatred of all the fans. Let's explore in more detail by discussing a specific example of this kind of manipulative character, Joffrey Baratheon of A Song of Ice and Fire. Fans really didn't like Joffrey from Game of Thrones, both in the show and in the books. But why is he so hated? After all, Ramsay Bolton, Tywin Lannister, Littlefinger, these guys are all into various villainous acts. Why does Joffrey bear so much hate? I think it's because Joffrey isn't just a villain. He's a clumsy manipulator whose incompetence and cruelty make him one of the most hateable characters in fantasy. And to be clear, I think this is a feature, not a bug. I think George Martin designed Joffrey to be this way. So let's dive in and explore how Joffrey's failed manipulations contribute to his role as a villain we love to hate. From the beginning, Joffrey attempts to assert his dominance through manipulation and cruelty. Unlike his mother Cersei or characters like Littlefinger, Joffrey's attempts at manipulation are blunt and lack strategic foresight. This is illustrated clearly in the incident where Joffrey finds Arya and the butcher's boy training with swords. He gets himself bitten and demands the death of the dog. From the reader and the viewer's perspective in the TV series, the dire wolf did nothing wrong. She was just trying to defend Arya and the butcher's boy. So the hatred for Joffrey builds up fiercely, especially when it is Sansa's wolf, which literally did nothing wrong, ended up paying the price for that incident. But I think the key moment of stupidity that cements the hatred of readers is Joffrey's order to execute Ned Stark. By now, the reader had seen Joffrey's brutality towards Sansa. They had witnessed his petty nature. But when he executes Ned, this is seen by other people in the story as stupid. It goes against the advice of his council. It demonstrates Joffrey's inability to think strategically, making his manipulations nothing more than impulsive and petty schemes. In fact, Joffrey's manipulations are often driven by his impulsive and petty nature. Instead of carefully planning his moves, he reacts emotionally and seeks immediate gratification. This is evident when he torments Sansa Stark for his own amusement and no other reason. These actions show his lack of understanding of the long-term consequences of the game he's playing, and it makes him less effective as a manipulator compared to the more strategic character. His actions are not just villainous, they are also ineffective and often backfire, causing unnecessary suffering without achieving his intended goals at all. This incompetence makes the audience despise him as well as hate him, because his cruelty is not tempered by any kind of competence. A competent villain can evoke some kind of weird respect. Readers don't respect Joffrey because he's not a mastermind. He's a brat with power. And that brings us to the themes that Joffrey represents in A Song of Ice and Fire. Joffrey's character symbolizes the dangers of unchecked power in the hands of the incompetent. His rise to power and subsequent actions highlight the flaws in the political system of Westeros, where bloodline determines political power. His inability to effectively manipulate those around him or manage his power responsibly makes him a perfect example of how not to rule, thereby reinforcing the themes of power and corruption in Game of Thrones. This kind of character, the failed manipulator, is fantastic to use to highlight the negative side of your theme. And it doesn't have to be a theme like governance or corruption and power. Let's say your theme was, it's good to be monogamous in marriage. The failed manipulator could be a cheat who attempts to cover up their cheating through manipulation, but it creates worse and worse situations for everyone, and that deepens the audience hate for that character. We'll delve into a contrasting character shortly, but let's finish up with how to make and use a character like Joffrey Baratheon. Joffrey's combination of cruelty and incompetence evokes a strong emotional response from the audience. We love to hate him because his actions are not only morally reprehensible, but also frustratingly stupid. This blend of traits make his eventual downfall incredibly satisfying for the audience. We cheer when he finally gets what he deserves at the Purple Wedding because it feels like justice for all the harm he has caused. Your villain doesn't always have to be smart. They can be dumb, and because of their position in the story, everyone else has to make their stupidity work. And this makes the audience hate that villain even more. If we consider that cheating example, the cheat could be an uber-wealthy person that everyone else helps to cover up their incompetence because they need to keep the rich cheat on their side to retain access to the money. But for such a character to be hated, they also need to impact the story. Joffrey's role as a clumsy manipulator serves to advance the plot and develop other characters. His actions force characters like Sansa, Tyrion, and even his mother Cersei to react and adapt, driving their own story arcs forward. Joffrey is literally a story-creating element. His actions ripple through to everyone else's story, serving as drive and impetus for them to act. And this is important. If you're going to build a character like this, they need to be impactful on the other characters. Otherwise, there's no reason to hate them. They have no impact. Thirdly, these characters defy conventional writing wisdom. Joffrey doesn't really grow in the course of the story. He's the same brutal kid at the Purple Wedding as he was when he found Arya and the Butcher Boy. He's just more and worse, because all his limits have been removed. Moreover, he gets no redeeming moments, and he could have had them. After all, his father neglects him, his mother dotes on him in a really, really weird way. There could be a slither of redemption in there. But Martin doesn't do that, and that is what makes Joffrey brilliant. We have no temptation to love him, to make excuses for him. We can hate him with all our hearts because he is unchanging and unrepentant. Joffrey Baratheon is a brilliant character because his clumsy attempts at manipulation make him a villain that we can love to hate. His impulsiveness, his cruelty and incompetence highlight the dangers of unchecked power and serve as an excellent narrative tool to engage the audience emotionally in the story. However, there are other types of manipulative characters, and indeed, there is a bright side of the mirror to the darkness that Joffrey represents. And that is the rise of a manipulative character who takes the fans along with her and cheers for her growth and her decisions when she truly embraces her role. And let's take a look at an example through the lens of Blue Eye Samurai and the character arc of Akemi. Like Joffrey, we meet Akemi as a youth before she really embraces the role of manipulator. Akemi is the daughter of Lord Dashi of the Tokanuba clan, and her journey into manipulation begins under the guidance of her tutor, Seki, who acts as her parental figure after the death of her mother. Seki teaches Akemi the subtle ways to influence and control those around her, especially her father. Thus, she is prepared to navigate a male-dominated world of Edo Japan. This training is evident even at the start of the story. Even early in the series, Akemi successfully manipulates her father into agreeing to her marriage with Taigen, a respectable samurai. Despite initial resistance, she uses her persuasive skills honed under Seki's tutelage to secure her father's approval for this match, even though Taigen isn't as statusful as she is. However, Akemi's plans begin to unravel when Taigen loses a duel to Mizu, leading to the cancellation of his engagement to Akemi. This external event is a significant setback, showing that even the best-laid manipulations can be disrupted by unforeseen circumstances. And here is where Akemi makes a spectacular rookie mistake, showcasing how much she still has to learn despite her early training. In a bid to salvage her scheme, Akemi attempts to seduce Taigen to keep him by her side, hoping to talk her father around. However, all that she achieves is convincing Taigen to chase after his honor by finding the mysterious samurai and regaining his honor through another duel. I winced watching this scene. I really wanted Akemi to make some other choice here because I could see what was going to go wrong. But that was the point. It was the same as Joffrey's manipulation. Too crass, too blatant. But it was a necessary step in Akemi's growth, and this is one of the key differences between Joffrey and Akemi. She does indeed grow from her mistakes, taking the fans with her on that journey. After Taigen runs away, Akemi's father tells her that enough is enough, she will now be engaged to the shogun's second son, Takayoshi. Terrified of losing the freedom a life with Taigen offered, Akemi runs away to find Taigen, to bring him back and marry him instead. I could probably spend a whole video analyzing just this journey and how many trials and tribulations and lessons the writers packed into this journey. But it culminates in Akemi becoming a student to Madame Keiji, a brothel owner. And here we see her really starting to grasp the concept of manipulating men through their desires, of working within the cage of a woman's role in samurai in Edo, Japan. However, her journey is cut short when her father's guards catch up with her, and she's returned to the shogun's court, where she is forced to seal the engagement with the shogun's second son, Takayoshi. And that brings us to the poignant moment with the songbird. Akemi is gifted a songbird as part of her engagement, which is in a golden cage. The cage serves as a metaphor for herself, a woman confined within the gilded cage of the imperial palace. In a symbolic act, she sets the bird free, mirroring her own desire to escape her role and constraints as a woman in this world. However, her betrothed cruelly shoots the bird as it flies over the garden, a shocking and symbolic act that deeply affects Akemi. This act signifies the harsh reality that attempts to break free can end tragically. That night, her mother-in-law forces her to eat the bird, a grotesque lesson of power. This moment marks a turning point for Akemi, where she begins to truly understand the ruthlessness required to play the role of the manipulator. You could actually see her learning and growing with each bite of that bird's flesh. So then Takayoshi gives Akemi another songbird, and when she confronts him, thinking he is taunting her, he stutteringly explains that it was meant as an apology. He didn't understand the significance of what he was doing when he shot the bird. Akemi then takes him to bed, embracing her role as his wife. After these events, Akemi discovers that her father is a traitor to the shogun, siding with the villain Fowler. The climax of the story happens with much shenanigans, including the castle catching on fire. And as the castle burns, Akemi ensures that her father and the nobles who supported him are all trapped inside, leading to their deaths. That is a brutal act, and yet, as the audience, we're immediately ready to excuse her. The nobles she trapped in that castle were all traitors or dead men anyway. After all, the Europeans who'd attacked the castle would just kill them. So really, she's just taking care of traitors. Compare that with our willingness to condemn Joffrey, and you will find the difference between these two characters. Anyway, during the tumultuous events of the climax, Seki dies, but before his death, he tells Akemi about a hidden treasure on a farm up north. Taigen also escapes from the burning city and tries to convince Akemi to leave everything behind. He offers to renounce his samurai status so that they can find the treasure and live quietly on the farm, just the two of them, in happiness and contentment, far from the constraints of their current lives. And this is the moment Akemi realizes her true ambitions, showcasing her growth along this path. Encouraged by Seki's earlier advice to embrace her role and dominate Japan through manipulation, she fully accepts her destiny. She tells Taigen that she desires political power, marking her transformation from a petty girl to a master manipulator. Akemi's journey in Blue Eye Samurai is rich with symbolic and thematic significance. Her character development highlights the power of strategic manipulation and the potential for growth through hardship. Akemi starts her journey with naive attempts at manipulation, much like Joffrey. However, unlike Joffrey, she learns from her mistakes and grows more sophisticated in her strategies, leading to the reader cheering when she achieves those deeper strategies. And as she learns from mentors like Madame Kaji and through her own experiences, she begins to understand the power she can wield through subtle and strategic manipulation. And her evolution is marked by a willingness to embrace the ruthlessness necessary to achieve her goals. Unlike Joffrey, whose manipulations are overt and clumsy and stay that way, Akemi's manipulations become more subtle and calculated, and this contrast highlights the effectiveness of her growth arc. So how would you build an Akemi type of character? 1. Establish a strong motivation for the character to act. Understanding the motivation behind the character's manipulative behavior is crucial. In Akemi's case, her initial motivation is to gain personal freedom and secure a marriage with Taigen, which she believes will allow her to escape her constrained life. That is a motivation any of us can get behind. And that immediately casts her in a sympathetic light. 2. Show the learning process through, for example, influential mentors. Introduce mentor figures who can teach the character the ropes of manipulation. Akemi hires Seki out of the box and Madame Kaji later, and even in the Imperial Palace, her combative relationship with her future mother-in-law helps shape her manipulations. All these characters impart crucial lessons on subtlety and control. Or you can show learning through failure. Highlight the character's mistakes and learning moments. Akemi's failed attempt to seduce Taigen and salvage her initial plan demonstrates her naivete and how much she still has to learn. Her later actions with the shogun's son has much more certainty and shows the learning from her earlier actions. Then 3. Use symbolic moments. Incorporate symbolic events that reflect the character's inner journey. The songbird incident in Akemi's story is a powerful metaphor for her own situation and aspiration, as is the blackening of her teeth when she is forced into the engagement. 4. Develop complexity and depth. Show the character's internal conflict and evolving understanding of manipulation. Akemi's journey from naive attempts to strategic manipulation shows a gradual and believable transformation. Equally important is to introduce moral ambiguity. Present situations that challenge the character's morals and force them to make difficult decisions. This complexity makes the character more relatable and their journey to manipulation more realistic, gradually taking the audience along to where they can tolerate her closing the doors of a burning castle. And that indeed brings us to 5. Portray growth and transformation. Clearly outline the character's growth from a novice manipulator to a master manipulator. Akemi's story ends with her fully embracing her role and ambition for political power, marking her complete transformation and a new chapter in her story for Season 2. Showing gradual changes in the character's behavior, mindset, and tactics can help make this transformation more believable for the reader. Both Akemi and Joffrey have outsized but very different impacts on the plots of the stories they appear in. The one is a villain we love to hate. The other is possibly a villain, possibly a hero, but mostly a character we love to follow and that we hope will come good. Either way, both are memorable, and that is certainly a worthy goal to aim for as a writer. What do you think? Did you hate Joffrey? Did you love Akemi? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the thumbs up button on this video. This video is brought to you by the wonderful members of my channel. like Pablo Barrios, Tony Lamana, Katie Kofi Mug, Dylan Butera, and Tiffany Felix. Members get all kinds of cool perks like early access to my videos and suggesting video topics in my Discord server. So if you want to join their master manipulator ranks, hit the big join button down below. But please don't feel pressured to support my channel financially. You can also support the channel just by watching another video. Since you enjoyed this video, you might consider watching my video on creating Puppet Master organizations, or you can trust the algorithm's recommendation right over there, and I will see you soon for another video from Just in Time Worlds, where we build what we need when we need it. This is not as easy as it looks.